Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Café. I'm Nemo, and today I will be pitching my idea for a Batman Beyond movie. This will include a general plot overview and castings. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's just hop right into this. Okay, so obviously, I don't think that we're gonna get a Batman Beyond movie anytime soon because Warner Brothers is allergic to making money, but I've created a potential plot for a Batman Beyond movie. I've taken some elements from the comic books, some from the show. I've added some of my own ideas, and I think what I have here is pretty good, so I hope you guys like it. Neo Gotham thrives under the protection of its new Dark Knight, Terry McGinnis, who has worn the cowl for nearly 3 years. In that time, he's faced some of the city's most dangerous foes: Blight, Spellbinder, Shriek, Stalker, and even a resurrected Mr. Freeze. The people are beginning to believe in Batman again. But behind the mask, the dynamic between Terry and Bruce Wayne has grown strained. Bruce still monitors every mission from the Batcave, offering orders and critiques that feel less like guidance and more like control. Terry, confident and battle-tested, wants the freedom to make his own calls, to be his Batman. Their arguments grow sharper and more personal, especially as Terry questions whether Bruce sees him as a partner or just another soldier in his endless war. To cope, Terry occasionally visits Commissioner Barbara Gordon, who knows better than anyone what it's like to work under Bruce's shadow. She advises Terry on how to handle the old man and warns Bruce in private that his inability to trust could destroy the bond he's built with Terry. Despite the tension, Gotham is peaceful. Crime is at a low. For the first time in years, it seems like Batman has truly won. But peace never lasts in Gotham. From the shadows of the world, a new threat emerges. Damian Wayne, former disgraced Robin and current leader of the League of Assassins. Having taken control of the League after Ra's al Ghul's death, Damian has adopted his grandfather's mission of cleansing Gotham. He and his assassins descend upon the city, targeting the most notorious criminals and supervillains, not for capture, but for execution. Terry investigates the killings, tracking the League across Neo Gotham's rooftops. When he finally confronts their leader, he's stunned by Damian's skill. Faster, sharper, and more brutal than any opponent he's faced. Damian defeats Terry easily, sparing his life only to deliver a warning. This city's sickness isn't yours to cure. Stay out of my way. Terry barely escapes with his life, returning to the cave bloodied and shaken. Bruce listens, analyzing Damian's combat style and tactics, his jaw tightening as he realizes who Terry fought. But he doesn't say it. He keeps the truth buried. When Terry demands to know what they're up against, Bruce simply says, "Someone trained by the League. Someone who knows how I think." To stop the League's crusade, Terry proposes an unusual plan: protecting the Gotham's remaining supervillains by removing them from Damian's reach entirely. Bruce claims the villains chose their fate, to which Terry replies by saying, "That's not what Batman would do." Bruce agrees, and he sends Terry to the Fortress of Solitude, where Superman reluctantly lends them the Phantom Zone projector, a device capable of imprisoning targets in a timeless, dimensional void. Back in Gotham, Terry rounds up the surviving villains: Blight, Spellbinder, Shriek, and others, convincing them that the Phantom Zone is their only refuge from the League's assassins. It's an uneasy alliance, but desperation makes them cooperate. As Bruce calibrates the projector, the League strikes again, this time at Wayne Manor. Alarms blare through the cave as assassins pour in, cutting through automated defenses. Damian himself descends into the depths of the cave, blade in hand. Terry returns just in time, launching himself at Damian. The two clash in a vicious, personal fight amid the shadows of the cave. Terry demands to know who Damian is and why he's so obsessed with Gotham and Batman. Damian scoffs. "You don't even know whose mask you're wearing, do you?" The fight crashes through the Batcave's equipment, sparks and shrapnel flying. As Bruce intervenes, shouting for them to stop, Damian turns to him, voice trembling with rage and betrayal. "You replaced me. You replaced your son with this pretender." Terry freezes, the words cutting deeper than any blade. Bruce's silence confirms it. Before Terry can process the truth, Damian drives a sword into Bruce's side, dropping him to the floor. Something in Terry snaps. He lunges at Damian, the two grappling near the still active Phantom Zone projector. The machine powers up in a surge of light, pulling both combatants into the void. Inside the Phantom Zone's endless, ghostly expanse, Damian fights like a man possessed, his fury unmatched. Time and space dissolve. The world becomes a storm of shifting light and echoes. Damian stalks Terry through the void, relentless. He beats him down blow after blow, until Terry lies barely able to stand. Damian sneers, blade at Terry's throat. "You can't win. You're just a boy wearing my father's corpse. Look at what I'm doing for Gotham. I'm cleansing her of the filth my father defended for decades. I'm a better Batman than either one of you saps could ever hope to be." Terry forces himself to his feet, breathing hard, blood trickling from his lip. "You want to be Batman so bad?" he says, ripping off his mask. "Here, take it." He tosses the mask towards Damian. Damian catches it, staring down at the symbol that defined his father. His expression twists with disgust. "You think this is what I want? To wear the symbol of that weak old man? This mask is a joke, just like my father." Before he can finish, the mask sparks to life. Terry's thumb had already triggered the security failsafe, an electric deterrent designed to stop thieves. Bolts of electricity surge through Damian's body, electrocuting him mid-sentence. He screams and collapses, muscles locking up, the mask clattering beside him. Terry steps closer, looking down at the fallen assassin. "You may be his son," he says, voice steady. "But I'm Batman." With that, he activates his suit's thrusters and rockets upward through the swirling void. He bursts back through the Phantom Zone's portal and slams his gauntlet against the controls, sealing it shut behind him. Terry helps Bruce to his feet. Medical drones stabilize him. Bruce will live, but his spirit is broken. Terry quietly asks what to do about Damian. Bruce stares at the projector's flickering core, his face heavy with regret. "It's probably the only prison that could hold him," Bruce says softly. "I failed him. I created the most dangerous man on the planet." As Gotham's skyline glows in the distance, Terry stands once more atop the rooftops. The city is safe, for now, but the cost has changed him. He's no longer just following Bruce's legacy. He's defining his own. All right, so that was just an overview of the story that I came up with for a potential Batman Beyond movie. Obviously, I'm not a screenwriter. I just thought that this would be a fun way to explain the plot to you guys and, go over what I would want to happen in a movie like this. And I think that having Damian as the main villain would be just such an interesting way to give the story more stakes and make it more personal for both Terry and Bruce. And I know some people might claim that this is character assassination for Damian, but I actually think that Damian makes a way better villain than a Batman. I don't think Damian is supposed to, take up the mantle. I just don't think that it really fits his character. And, I like Terry a lot more. I think Terry is a better Batman. So naturally, this is what I was going to come up with. All right, now, before I get into casting, let me just, give a little disclaimer. Obviously, this is not a movie that is going to get made anytime soon. So when I give you guys my picks for these characters, I am casting them as if they are going to be in the movie right now. Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now. So their ages that they are now, that's what I want them to be in the movie. So just wanted to throw that out there so no one's like, "Oh, well, in 10 years, this guy's actually going to be too old." Obviously, it's impossible to plan for things like this. So it's just for fun. All right, starting off with Bruce Wayne, you got tons of options that you can go with, but none of them are going to be previous Batman actors, okay? I think that idea is a little tired. And the only one that I actually would have gotten behind was Kevin Conroy, but sadly, he is no longer with us. That would have been awesome, though. I don't want to see Michael Keaton as an old Bruce Wayne. We already saw that. I want to see something new. Ben Affleck isn't old enough yet, and I also don't like Ben Affleck as Batman. I think that would just, ruin the whole vibe of the movie. So you could go with someone like Nigel Barber. I don't really know about his acting history. I don't think he's been in a ton of things, but he literally looks like a one-to-one translation of Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond. I mean, he looks perfect. He just looks like a grumpy, cranky old man. So good. Now, if you wanted more of a weird pick, you could go with someone like Jeremy Irons. I mean, he's old enough. He's a really good actor. He's already played Alfred. All right, but my top 2 picks for old Bruce Wayne is actually a tie between Josh Brolin and Pierce Brosnan. I mean, come on. Having Thanos play Batman, having James Bond play Batman, I don't know, that just sounds so cool. And both of them have excellent Batman voices, especially Josh Brolin. He is very intimidating. I think that he would be an excellent old Bruce Wayne. All right, now let's talk about Damian. So obviously, Damian is going to be an adult in this story. He's definitely going to be on the younger side, but he's still an adult, okay? Now, casting for adult Damian is way easier than casting for child Damian because, you know, when Damian is Robin, he's 10 years old. You're not going to find an actor that fits that perfectly and is talented enough, but adult Damian we can work with. So my pick for him is Derek Le. I believe he is in Gen V. I have not seen the show because I've kind of lost interest in The Boys recently. You know, I think they kind of rely on the shock value a little too much, but I have seen him in a few other things. I mean, he has the look, and I could definitely see him playing the new head of the Demon. All right, let's talk about Superman now. I thought it would be fun, you know, to slip in a little Superman cameo in the story because, you know, Superman does appear in the Batman Beyond show. He's part of the Justice League in the future. He's got that cool black and white costume. Now, for Superman, you could just do David Cornsweet and like use CGI to age him up or something. You know, if this is going to be in that DCU, you know, universe, it would make the most sense. But, you know, you could also go with someone like John Hamm. You know, he has tons of fan art made for him, you know, him as Kingdom Come Superman, and it does look pretty good, but I just have to go with Brandon Routh. I mean, he was a super underrated Superman. You know, they did him dirty in that movie in 2006, but he definitely got to redeem himself in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover episode in the CW. And he got to play an older Superman, so we already know what he would look like as an older Superman with his hair kind of graying. And, you know, while he wasn't in the black and white costume, I'm sure he would look great in that too. And, you know, it's always fun to have, you know, a cameo from a previous actor, so why not do it with Superman? All right, now Dana isn't really a character that is featured in my plot overview, but I'm sure that she would be in a movie like this, so I have 2 options for her. We got Lauren Tsai and Amber Midthunder. I think both of them have the look. They might be a little on the older side, but, you know, this is a story where Terry's already been Batman for a few years, so I don't really think that that's that big of an issue. So I think that they could play Dana. I don't really know what her role in the story would be. I personally prefer Batman Beyond with Ace, but, you know, that's just me. All right, next let's go over Commissioner Barbara Gordon. Now, I really like the idea of Terry going to her for advice about Bruce because, you know, she's like the last member of the Bat family that's kind of still around, you know, hangs around Gotham. And I just think it's a really interesting dynamic between her and Terry because she wants Terry to leave the cowl and just be a normal kid. But obviously he's not going to do that because he's Batman. So, but I got a few options for Barbara Gordon. We got Sandra Bullock. That could be interesting, you know. And by the way, I'm looking for actresses kind of in their 50s because Barbara Gordon is supposed to be around 20 years younger than Bruce. So, you know, these ages kind of match up. But Sandra Bullock could be a really good pick. She's a really good actor, but I think she's done a lot more comedy stuff lately. You could also do Gillian Anderson. You could do Uma Thurman. I think she's a really good actress. She was recently in the new Dexter show. I think she played her character amazingly. Phenomenal job. But I think the pick that I would go with would actually be Nicole Kidman. Now, she already is in a Batman movie. She was in Batman Forever. I think that would be a really fun callback, you know, a little Easter egg for the fans. And she's an amazing actress. She could do a really good job. So I think she should play Gordon. All right, now let's talk about some villains. So in this movie, Terry is not going to be fighting these villains. He's going to be trying to rescue them. And so I think that allows us to, you know, put in quite a few villains without making the plot feel stuffed. So, you know, for Blight, you could go with someone like Mads Mikkelsen. He played Caecilius in Doctor Strange. I think he's an amazing actor. And he could definitely play the kind of, you know, scummy businessman pretty well. And I mean, we already know what his face looks like when, you know, it's all cracking and falling apart, you know, because of the CGI in Doctor Strange. I think it would be a really good pick. For Shriek, you gotta go with somebody a little crazy. So, as I mentioned before, I think Jake Gyllenhaal can play crazy really well. So I think that he could play Shriek, if he's not playing Joker already in the DCU. I don't really have anything else to say about him. I just really like him as an actor, and I want to use him for something, so he could play Shriek. Plus, it could be a cool callback to, when he played Mysterio, because Mysterio, manipulates light and, what your eyes see, and Shriek manipulates sound, and, he kind of creates illusions like that. He made the one guy in that episode think he was going to get hit by a train. I don't know, it could be interesting. For Spellbinder, I got a few different guys. You could go with Matthew Gray Gubler. I think he's got the look for, that kind of weird school psychiatrist. And then you could go with Michael C. Hall or Penn Badgley. I think that they're interesting for this role because, they've played serial killers and they do really well with the serial killer monologue voice. And, when Spellbinder is torturing someone in their mindscape, he's kind of narrating the thing and kind of taunting them. And I think you should have a good voice for that. And so I think that, either Dexter or Joe Goldberg would be perfect for that. All right, now in my previous video where I was casting the Batman villains, I said that I think Mr. Freeze should either be played by Giancarlo Esposito or Paul Bettany. I think that they would be perfect for the role. But, more than that, you don't really have to worry about aging with Mr. Freeze in this universe. Everyone else, you got to pick an old Bruce Wayne because he's old. But in the show, Mr. Freeze actually froze himself and he was preserved perfectly until Blight, kind of woke him up and started using him for experiments to create a new body. So you can use the same actors and it would work out. But yeah, either one of them would be perfect. All right, now with Stalker, it was actually kind of hard to find a guy where I could be like, yeah, this guy would look good running around in tribal underwear carrying a spear. But I think Kendrick Sampson could do a good job. That's not meant to be an insult, thinking that he would look good running around like a crazy person throwing a spear, but I think he's a decent actor. I haven't seen him in a ton of things, but I think he could do a good job. All right, now let's talk about Batman Beyond, the man of the hour. Now, as I said before, I'm not going to be casting as if this is some movie that's going to come out in a few years, so I got to worry about the ages and if they're going to look right in a few years. No, this movie's not coming out. Okay, Warner Brothers doesn't care about Batman Beyond. This is just for fun. So I'm going to be casting for what the actors look like right now, as if the movie was coming out now. Now, for Terry's age, in the show, Terry started being Batman at 17. Now, I've conveniently placed this story a few years after Terry became Batman. That way, we don't have to cast a 17, 18-year-old. We can cast somebody in their early to mid-20s, and we don't really have to worry about it that much. Now, in terms of what Terry should look like, a lot of people cast white guys, a lot of people cast Asian guys. I couldn't really care less. He's been both. In the show, he was white, both his parents were white, and in the White Knight Batman Beyond comics, they introduced him as half Asian, so I don't really care. I like both, but I've got a list here of people that could play Batman Beyond, so let's get started. Now, let's get one of the obvious ones out of the way. You could go with someone like Ryan Potter, who, fun fact, has already played Batman Beyond in a fan film. This is what it looks like. It was pretty good, but, a little short. He's also been Beast Boy in the Titan show, and, he's combat trained. He can do the gymnastic stuff. He's a really good actor, but, he might be a little too old for what I'm looking for. I think he's over 30 now, but, not a terrible choice. All right, next one we're going to get out of the way is Mason Thames. He is a very popular young actor right now. A lot of people are fan casting him for everything. Robin, Nightwing, Flash, everything. I don't really think that he fits Batman Beyond, though. He kind of lacks the dark look that you need for this character. Batman Beyond was a troubled kid, all right? He was in juvie. He was committing crimes. His parents were disappointed in him. Mason Thames looks like, he makes his mom proud, so I don't really see it fitting. And he's a little too young, I think. Another one to get out of the way, Jimmy Lou. He has a pretty good look, but, he's too young. It could work for an origin Batman Beyond story, but, this movie is set 3 years after he's already been Batman, so it wouldn't work. All right, next up on the list, we got Wolfgang Novogratz. He's also been fan cast as literally everything from Superman to Shazam to Nightwing. I think he's too old, and he might honestly be too tall. Okay, I think he's 6'3" or 6'4". I just think that's a little too tall for Batman Beyond. I think he should be, 6 foot or 6'1", but no taller or shorter than that. Okay, next on the list, we got Liam Woodrum. I think that he could be a decent choice. It's not the worst. He definitely has the look that we're kind of looking for. I could see it. I haven't really seen him in a ton of things, but I don't know. I mean, when you're picking young actors, you kind of just got to take a chance on them because they don't always have a ton of experience, but I could see it working out. All right, and runner-up for Batman Beyond, we got Tanner Buchanan. I think he does have, pretty much the look that we're going for. He might be a little on the older side, being 26. I think the Batman Beyond that we're looking for is going to be around 20 to 23 years old. But, he's got a pretty decent acting history. He's been in quite a few things, and I do think that he's a pretty good actor. So, I put him on the list. I think this could work. All right, my pick for Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, is Louis Partridge. I just think that he has the perfect look for what we're going for. I mean, before he was Batman, Terry McGinnis was a punk kid, breaking the law, getting sent to juvie, and I think this guy kind of matches that look perfectly. He has a pretty decent acting history. He was in Argyle and the Enola Holmes movies, and you got to take a chance on young actors sometimes. You never know what's going to happen. It could totally be worth it in the end. But I think that this guy would absolutely be perfect for Terry McGinnis. All right, so the narration that I gave earlier was just a very brief summary. If you guys want to read the full 16-chapter short story, I'll have a link to it in the description below. So you guys can check that out if you want to and let me know what you think. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button and let me know in the comments below what your dream Batman Beyond movie would look like. I really appreciate you guys engaging with the videos, and I love reading all your comments, so keep talking to me. I want to read everything you guys have to say. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.